enjoy our Canaanite coffee together. I always laugh about that. It's hilarious. The same coffee in Greece, in Turkey, in Israel, Palestine, Lebanon. And then as you move over to Syria and then Iraq, the coffee slightly changes flavor because they use different things in them. I think it's called cardamom. I think that's what they use in as you move over towards away from the Mediterranean and over the beautiful green mountains and into the deserts, savannas, and plains of, I don't know, what is it, Western Central Asia? I'm not sure. Anyway, g'day, pleasure to see you. See you is a pleasure. I need to go do some work. I've got 10 hours of mathematics to do today, and I've got to start. Hence the coffee, the supercharging coffee. What do we have for breakfast? I had a Western coffee and some fruit. And I think that's about it today. Yes, some fruit, some prunes, coffee, and then we start cycling at the same time to keep going. Now, what was I going to tell you? Yes, the interesting thing about not understanding the nonverbal communication, to be blind to nonverbal communication is something that people don't really understand. I don't think they ever will, maybe for 100 years, but maybe longer. But they can't understand how someone who is, say, not, to use the words of someone else, they said, you're not drooling. So it's hard to believe. This is a constant thing I hear. But for example, I think the way that I explained it to my girlfriend was, oh, there you go. So imagine that when you type into a computer and the computer replies to you, right? It has to first get translated into code and back into, and then it's done in the language of the computer. And then it comes back out through code and then put into language that we understand. And this is sort of how my brain works. For example, I'm just trying to think of an example. I guess to give you a neurotypical example, it would be imagine if for 40 years you've been having, I'm trying to think, a tissue, right? And you have this tissue and you say, this is a tissue. And then you find out 40 years later that someone says, by the way, when you say this is a tissue, it means you hate me. And I'm just thinking, on what planet am I? What planet am I? Like, you would feel that way. And that's how it feels when you have autism, I think. It's like everything is wrong because it carries all of this emotional weight and subtext, and it just seems imagined to the autistic brain. It just seems, how does that even make sense? I think that's why mathematics makes the most sense to me, because there's nothing imbued. It's all precise. Everything means exactly what it means. And there's no subtext, which is just, it seems imagined. And I've said this before about someone who can't see color, if you imagine, who all of a sudden is being told that color exists. And they can't tell the difference between, for example, this of this color and this of this color. And they're saying to you, you're lying. But it turns out that, g'day, the writer, everyone else is saying, no, it's true. This color is different to this color. And you're thinking they're all making it up. That's your natural response, right? But then they say, no, you're lying. Hello, Ruans. You say, oh, you're lying. They're the same color. And everyone else is saying, no, they're not the same color. You're lying. You can see that they're different colors, but you're pretending that you can only see the same color. So it's something like that. Like, oh, how come you don't say bye when you hang up the phone, for example? And then you're like, why would I say bye? I'm hanging up the phone. Therefore, the phone is being hung up. Bro, g'day. Other people will then naturally then reverse engineer your behavior and map it onto a smartass. In other words, a human has taken a pattern and has made a false conclusion. So it's a pattern where none exists, for example. Excuse me. Sorry about that. And so when we say that some people see patterns where none exist, we think that they're delusional. But when people do it en masse, we say they're not delusional. But it's still true, even if it happens en masse. So if one autistic person is with 10 people and doesn't understand, for example, that if a plate is offered of food, that they can only take one every so minutes. This is not something I learned until I was 26. So I realize that if there are 10 people and a plate is out, you can't take more than, for example, to be safe, you can't take more than 10% of the food, but you can't take all the 10% in a certain period of time. I've worked out it's normally about an hour. So what I would have done was, oh, when the plate is there and there's food, then you just take and you just take, right? Now, if you might see people doing that, and I'm 26 doing this, so what do people think? People think, oh, the guy is selfish or a Fruit Loop or whatever, and the autistic person makes no connection with those things. They just see, oh, food offered, I want food, so it's logical. There's the food, food. But of course, what they're thinking, the neurotypical, is that there's so many other factors. How many people are in the room? How would someone feel in the room if you were to take something? Like this is such an alien concept to someone who doesn't understand these things, that they don't come to them. It's not in their brain for whatever reason. I don't know exactly why. We have to talk to neuroscientists. I can only talk from the subjective experience of that, saying that it actually doesn't come to the brain. So what I do now in public is I've got to stop. I've got to think, oh, hold on a second. Does this map onto any of my thousands of past experiences over the last 20 years? Most of the time I can do okay, right? Hey, Fortnite. I've never played Fortnite. I've watched it on YouTube. I love, 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 love computer games, and that's why I never play them. Because if I played them, I would do nothing else with my life. And that's what happened to me as a teenager. I did nothing else except play computer games. And that destroyed me. So now I just do maths all day, which to me is like a high-level computer game. So maybe I still play computer games. Who knows? Just higher dimensions. So the coffee is finished and I'm going to head off because this conversation can go forever. But what do you take from it? Take from it that when you see somebody acting what you think is weird, if you're neurotypical or you think you're neurotypical, hey, thank you, then think to yourself, are they an idiot or this or this or this? Or are you someone, is that person neurodivergent? And so things don't come to their mind that come to your mind, and maybe other things come to their mind that don't come to your mind. This is a very bizarre concept, and humans don't really need to think that in general, because most people that you hang around with, if you're not neurodivergent, are also not going to be neurodivergent, and you're not going to think about it. You're just going to go watch the footy, or I don't know, whatever regular people do. All right, don't forget to take life one smack at a time, and it's a pleasure to see you. And of course, I don't mean smack literally, because in 2020